Hey lady, where did your cormorant get that magical amulet? The power's quite driven him mad. It came in the mail. Oh, one break coming up.
Hey, hello everybody. My name is Marty Barrett. Welcome to the Verdugo HUUT. Here in October of 2020, we're broadcasting live from the Museum of Inefficient Heating, Ventilation, and Air Conditioning here in Tahunga, California. Now tonight, via Zoom, while I'm drinking my tea and I'm reading Dune, we'll be talking via Zoom to 5 really delightful people. And, you know, I don't want to be too forward. I know that we don't know each other, and we're not necessarily friends, but I wish that I were in your body so that you could experience these people for the first time. For example, we've got Justin Curtis, who has really fun, driving cowboy songs, even though he comes from places where cowboys aren't particularly prevalent in the voting demographic. Then we have Jim Melloan, all the way from Bushwick in Brooklyn. Imagine such a place. Then we meet Count Smokula, who comes all the way from Smokesylvania via the moon, apparently. And I'm really excited that you get to see these people. And as if that weren't enough, then we talk to the wonderful Reena Strober, who you may have seen on Broadway. You may have seen her, and not in something like Equus, but in Les Miserables. Finally, we end the evening with your friend and mine, Lisa Finnie, who talks about not being intimidated by your heroes. So, without any further ado, there is a little bit of ado. I want you to really pay attention here. The ado that I want you to pay attention to is the fact that even though this is a free show, if you have a little extra cash, send it via PayPal. We give a little bit of money to the performers. We also give a little bit of money to the place that spawned the Verdugo HUUT, the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Verdugo Hills, and a wonderful organization right down the street here in Burbank, California, called the Burbank Temporary Aid Center. So whatever you can throw toward this PayPal address right here would be very much appreciated. And now, say hello to my friend Justin Curtis.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you know, for many of you, this is the first time you've ever seen a hoot, or maybe the only hoots you've seen have been digital ones. But way back at the beginning of 2020, if you can remember back that far, we had our 2nd anniversary show at the beautiful Unitarian Universalist Church of the Verdugo Hills, woody gabled sanctuary. And playing that night was a guy named Justin Curtis, who has such a rich and resonant country-tinged baritone that you'll want to go out and rope something after you hear him. So please say hello to Mr. Justin Curtis.
Oh, well, hey, well, thank you. Yeah, it's good to be here on the Digital Hoot. I miss those good old days of live performances and real people, but you know, I've got several cardboard cutouts around my apartment here, and I sing to them regularly, so it's you know, I'm getting by.
I like the decor of your van. There's a Texas Longhorn behind you,
right? Yeah.
And your hair is whipped up and up.
Yeah, well, you know, it's done by the wind, so I don't have much to say over that. So it was a good day today. It's a good hair day. Wind was coming from the northeast. That's usually pretty good for me.
And Justin, you've been all around this world, and I think the last time we all saw each other back in February, you sang a bunch of songs, and they all sounded like great songs from AM radio of our childhood.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of wondering, especially with the shirt that you're wearing, did you ever have like a new wave period, like an embarrassing new wave period?
Unfortunately not. I mean, that'd be something great to talk about, but no, I've always been a fan of the AM radio. My dad and my mom and dad moved around a lot when I was a kid. So the only thing sort of constant in my childhood was actually my mom's record collection. So she had the old Johnny Cash and Marty Robbins and Ernest Tubb. She had those records in her collection. And that kind of went from with us from town to town. So that was kind of my anchor. And so that kind of solidified my musical taste.
You were born in Canada, and then you spent time down in Florida, and you were all through the American South, right?
Yeah, been a lot of places. You know, went to 6 different schools and 5 different universities. I mean, just moved around a lot. I settled here in Los Angeles about 20 years ago, a little over 20 years ago, and so Los Angeles became home because it's the only place that I could recognize and remember. You know. I've gone back to those other places in my childhood, and of course they've changed so much that the memories are just surreal, you know. But LA's been home. I've been here. I watched things change for better, for worse, and I miss LA when I'm gone, and I feel better when I get back here. So,
yeah, it's odd getting to that place with Los Angeles because there's so much about Los Angeles, especially when it's trying to spit you out. That you think, oh, maybe I could go back to my town in North Ontario.
Right.
Not saying that that's where you're from. So over this plague, you have been pretty busy. And in fact, you've released a new single called Somebody Lied. And it's just great. Can you talk a little bit about the song that we're about to hear?
Yeah, well, the song sort of started, I was just thinking, especially with social media, you get so many different stories and so many conflicting stories that they can't possibly all be true. And so the idea is, well, if they can't be true, somebody lied. And then you extrapolate from that, well, really everybody's lying and nobody's telling the truth. And that's kind of what the song came from. And then being in isolation and being all the misinformation we've gotten about the pandemic and again, the conflicting stories just kind of grew into the song, which I'm proud of on one hand, but also it's a very angry song. So I'm a little like, you know, okay, here's some anger for you, world. Maybe you need some more, maybe you don't. I don't know, but it's an honest song. So the anger there is honest anger.
Well, you know, using the miracle of modern technology, I'm just gonna take this little urinal cake that I carry around with me all the time, and ask it to play the song. Okay, Alexa, play "Somebody Lied" by Justin Curtis.
Somebody Lied by Justin Curtis on Amazon Music.
Oh, wait a minute. Stop, Alexa, stop. Justin, stop! Alexa, stop! Justin, would you be so kind as to play this song for us from the confines of your own home?
Absolutely. Let me change my.
Well, hello, people of the Hoot. This is Justin Curtis in my home studio in the hills of Los Angeles with a song I wrote this year in isolation during the pandemic. A song called "Somebody Lied." There's anger found in every corner, despair down every hall as your fading beauty taunts you, saying you should've had it all. Endless profits and fairy tales, one-time offers and closeout sales, pharmaceuticals and miracle cures, easy to read, full-color brochures. It's the truth, somebody lied, the telltale proof is in your eyes. Darkness builds the alibis, but the light shines through your best disguise. There's only one way that it can be. Somebody lied to me. Now you're alone, but don't you worry won't bother you anymore. Make room for the better man or whatever you are waiting for. It's my fault that I'm not pretty. It's my fault that I'm not rich. Much too slow to lead you home and get lost. Much too quick for my protection. Somebody lied for my freedom. Somebody died. Build a wall. Somebody cried. Permission granted. Access denied. There's only one way that it can be. Somebody lied to me. Burning bridges won't keep you warm. Pride and envy won't calm the storm. Follow your fear, forget the laughter. You'll never find what you're after. It's the truth, somebody lied. 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 There's only one way that it can be. Somebody lied to me.
It's so nice to see actual sunlight and, you know, precipitation from a different place in the world. One of the great things about doing the Hoot remotely is it gives us the opportunity to just have people point their cameras out their windows. I've met our next performer 30 years ago when we were both in Guilty Children, a late lamented improv group in Boston. And now you can hear him in a show called 50 Years Ago This Week on Radio Free Brooklyn, where he plays the Billboard hits from 50 years ago this week. Would you please say hello to Jim Melloan?
Hey, everybody.
I know very little about Brooklyn. What's it been like this summer when you do your show at Radio Free Brooklyn? You don't do it from home.
Right around here, things don't seem that different. It's just that I don't go out. I guess a good thing I thought about that was that I didn't have to feel guilty about my naturally reclusive tendencies because nobody was going out. I go to the grocery, the drugstore, the liquor store, and then I do the show. Subway, you really notice a difference because there's just nobody on it anymore. When I was doing the show last year, I'd get on the L train at a little bit past 10 at night at the Morgan Ave stop, and it'd be standing room only on the subway. That was the way it was, and now 2 or 3 people on every car wearing a mask, and that's it, man. So never crowded out here anyway. And you go into the city, just nothing near the crowds you used to see. So quite different.
Your recently departed dad was a bright light at the Wall Street Journal and took the family all over the world. And one of the places that you lived was England between 1966 and 1970.
Yeah.
And so much of 50 years ago this week is about the American Billboard charts.
Right.
Between 65 and 70, you've been doing it for 5 years.
Yeah.
But during that formative time, you weren't actually in America. So in the research for the show that you're doing, are you ever surprised to hear a song that you didn't know when you were a teen?
I knew practically all of them because I used to listen to oldies radio all the time in the 80s, 90s, and until now oldies radio probably doesn't play 70s or 60s songs that much. But yeah, sometimes there are some that really surprise me. I mentioned the Buckinghams was an American band, but the kind of posed with that name as a British invasion band, but they were from Chicago. And I remember my cousin was really into them, and she came and visited us in England, and she said, "Oh yeah, I like the Buckinghams, they're English." And I said, "Huh?" Never heard of them. But yeah, there are still songs today that, or over the past 5 years, that did quite well. And I have a kind of catchphrase that I use sometimes on my show, which I say, "Remember that one? Me neither."
Would you introduce the song that you're about to sing as if you are the DJ on 50 Years Ago This Week?
Okay, sure. All right, well, now we've got a song from 2020. Remember that? Here in 2070? That was the COVID crisis. And I was inspired, as were many others, to write a song. My song is called, what is my song? It's called "Nobody Can See Me Smile."
These days when you go any place, everybody's got something to cover their face. You can't see them, they can't see you. Well, I guess that somehow we'll just muddle through. But when you got to deal with all these women and guys, they're getting all their nonverbal clues from your eyes. And whether you go east or west or north or south, they can't see your nose, they can't see your mouth. So I think it's a bummer and it's cramping my style, 'cause nobody can see me smile. No, 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 nobody can see me smile. I know it's supposed to keep you well, but we're living on an upper circle of hell. And just to give your heartstrings a tug, wouldn't it be nice to have someone you could hug? I try to keep a cheery disposition, but keeping it up is such a dicey proposition. And it doesn't matter, no one can tell, so I guess I better laugh it off. What the hell? And they say that this is gonna last for a while, where nobody can see me smile. No, 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 nobody can see me smile. Used to be the bad guys wore the bandanas. Now you're a bad guy if your face is bare. Being without a mask is just bad manners. And you gotta stay away from people if you go anywhere. Unwelcome stare, when all I'm trying to do is get a breath of fresh air. That kind of attitude has really got me moping, 'cause there's really not much risk when you're out in the open. They say that the eyes are windows to the soul, but they're only a part. How could they be the whole? The limitations are enough to make me cry, but I still try to smile, though my smile's pretty wry. And what's the difference? They can't tell the joy from the bile, 'cause nobody can see me smile. No, 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 nobody can see me smile. Hey, 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 I guess it's gonna be a while. Whoa, 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 where nobody can see me smile.
I can't tell you how excited and physically afraid I am for our next guest. I know that the theme of this particular show is Quarantunes and Coviditties, but we cannot escape, no matter how much we try, the fact that it's the end of October and it's Halloween in places where you can go out for Halloween. And for that reason, I have invited royalty to our show tonight. Would you please say hello to the ancient and venerable Count Smokula?
Hello, ancient and venerable me, and hello, modern and extremely venerable you.
Now, Count Smokula, I have walked long in the Valley of Darkness, and I know the ways of the occult. So, are you actually a vampire?
Well, to tell you the truth, Marty, when I was in Smokesylvania, I was the umpire of the Smokesylvania Batball League team. It was a great team, and they played batball, which was our invention. Of course, you know, we used actual freeze-dried bats and whacked their froze-dried balls with it. And that's how the sport became popular. When it migrated to the United States of America, your guys called it baseball, which is fine in my book, but I ain't got no book. I just enjoy this.
What grace that you've developed over your hundreds of years of existence that you wouldn't feel like we plagiarized the ancient art of batball.
Oh, I'm very happy when anything from Smokesylvania makes its way outside the country. You know, Smokesylvania is the land that never was, isn't now, and never will be. So just imagining the glories that came from this non-existent area in the earth is phenomenal.
So it must be terribly, terribly lonely at certain points, which is probably why you've cultivated the company of all sorts of people, like the Toxic Avenger and various bathing beauties and ecdysiasts.
I like that. Yes, that's true. The more they ecdysy, the more I ask. Would you ecdysy a little more? Would you do this and that? And they're happy people, you know. Toxic Avenger's a cool dude. He saved the world from toxic waste. And then there was Sergeant Kabuki Man, NYPD. And then there was these enthusiasts, as you mentioned. Very, very astute of you.
Well, you know, I'm always given a pretty hefty dossier by my assistant and my production staff before I do any interview with anyone.
Excellent, excellent.
Now, I was not aware that the accent with which you're speaking is a real Smokesylvania accent. It sounds a little bit borschte to me.
You know, that's an interesting thing, Marty. I've been to the vocal coaches. I try to lose my accent so I could talk like a normal Southerner. You know what I mean? Like somebody from, say, Kentucky or South Carolina, places I like and admire so well. But they tell me, no, it's a Smokesylvanian accent.
Yeah, sometimes it's just so deep in the very marrow of you that that no matter how many North Hollywood vocal coaches you go to, it can't be erased.
I tried yesterday, I tried today, and I'll try tomorrow. But nothing seems to work. This is just how I talk. I can't help it.
Now, actual vocal ululations are not the only ways that you communicate, Count. I understand that you also play the zither, I've learned, but you also play the squeeze box.
I do. Oh, you want squeeze box? Is that what you're driving at?
Yeah, it's our friend Dr. Hannibal Lecter would call that a ham-handed segue.
Oh my goodness! Well, he would eat the ham. Yum yum yum. Okay, but the thing is about this beautiful squeeze box, it happens to be in the other room.
Oh, yeah, I can entertain these people. Just make sure you unclip your microphone, otherwise you'll be decapitated.
Well, I would do that, but I ain't wearing one.
Oh, okay, great, even better.
And then what I'm going to have to do is turn on the light because.
All right.
Unless you want me to play anything, I could play.
Oh, we're just delighted you're here. Anybody, the accordion is such a great instrument.
I'm delighted I'm here too. It beats the alternative.
I wonder what landmass that is. It looks like Italy. Are we looking at the Mediterranean? Maybe I should shut up. Can't really tell. Oh, maybe I could pin. Maybe I could pin this. If I did that. No, I'm not sure. Oh, here we are.
Props. Look at that. It's unbelievable. Then I was in the forest looking for newts. Then I came upon the hoot. I enjoyed it so much. I played the squeeze box until Marty said, "Hey, Count, you better stop." But I wouldn't do that. Let's see. Shall we do? Let's do this one. I do it all the time, but I haven't done it in a while because of the Coviditties thing.
Oh, I gotcha. Hey, listen, Count, the people who watch the Verdugo HUUT are all about verisimilitude and transparency. Can you play a couple of low notes on that squeeze box so that they know you're actually playing? Because everything you're playing is kind of in the mid to high range, and we can't see your nimble fingers down on the bottom. So if you would throw in a couple of low notes every now and then.
Wait, I'm a little confused now with the verisimilitudes and
yeah.
What's the other word?
Transparency, because we want to know that you're not doing a Milli Vanilli and finger syncing your accordion.
No. This is the real deal, boys.
Oh, yes. There it is.
Well, there are some people who wake up in the morning. They spend their whole days moping and yawning. How can they do this? I'll never know why. I love the nightlife since the day that I died. I like the nightlife, it is the nightlife. I like those bright lights, say lovey. I like the nightlife, don't like the quiet life. That wild, wild nightlife is the life of me. How could anybody worship the sunshine? It would tan your hide and wrinkle your skin. That's why I stay awake till the dawning. Neon lights are better, keep you sharp as a pin. I like the nightlife, it is the nightlife. I like those bright lights, say love me. I like the nightlife, don't like the quiet life. That wild, wild nightlife is the life of me. Okay, Marty, this is your big chance to dance. Hey!
I like the nightlife. I got to boogie on the disco round. I like the nightlife. I've got to boogie. I'm a heedless clown.
One of these days, maybe I'll slow down. Until then, it's always a hoedown. Yuppity, yuppity, hey, hey, hey. I can't sleep at night, it's my time to play. I like the nightlife, it's the nightlife. I like those bright lights, they love me. I like the nightlife, like the quiet life. That wild, wild nightlife is the life of me. That wild, wild nightlife is the life of me. That wild, wild nightlife is the life of me. detected very similitude in there.
That has officially become my favorite song.
Oh, thank you too much.
Is that a Count Smokula original?
Well, yes, absolutely. And that's one of the songs we used to do in the Schlabans in Smokesylvania. You know? The Schlabans was the great bean harvesting festival where they would take all the Smokesylvanian beans and crush them up into a big pot and make a big bowl of schlapperwood. And the men and the women, the young stud muffins of Smokesylvania would drink and eat and dance all night, drink of the schlapperwood, the beans. And they would pass gas like you wouldn't believe it. And most of them would pass out from all this. But the man and the woman standing at the dawn would be named King and Queen of the Schlaban.
Well, Count Smokula, I say with deep gratitude, next year at the Schlabans.
You are so welcome and invited, Marty. We're going to even have a special throne for you.
Reena Strober is admitted. Oh. Reena Strober's here. Reena Strober. Reena Strober, after all this time.
Oh! Oh my God. I'm just fucking, wait. Oh, wait, I have to get it. Oh, wait. Hold on. I have to go get my headphone.
Yeah, no problem.
You're a long time just talking about me. Okay, I'll be right back. Shit.
Wow, such language from a children's artist. Hello, everybody. My name is Marty Barrett. I have an old friend here to introduce you to. There's, we have a long and wonderful tradition on the Verdugo HUUT of featuring people whose voices reflect a kind of grittiness in American life, like 40 miles of bad road and you can feel every bump. And when they sing the blues, you feel the blues right down to the 23rd or 24th bone of your spinal column. But then every now and then we meet somebody with these magical, ethereal, transcendent voices that make us feel like everything's going to be okay. Nothing was ever bad. And I think for this particular show, we really need one of those. We really need one of those voices. When I met our next performer, it was about 10 years ago, I told a friend, she sounds like the people who in later period Broadway shows, the whole story revolves around trying to save the world for. And Reena Strober played Cosette in the Broadway version of Les Miserables for quite a long time. And I just happened to see her at a club in Los Angeles once. And we became friends. And now you are going to become friends with her. And for your children, your grandchildren, or even secretly for yourself, you're probably going to buy her CD, Imagine That, a collection of songs from Sesame Street. Everybody, say hello to our friend Reena Strober.
Hi, everybody. I'm gritty. I don't know what you're talking about. I sound just like Tom Waits when I sing.
They will believe that when they hear it. So are you broadcasting from the green room at some Broadway venue?
Yes, because all the Broadway shows are, in high demand right now. No, after 2010, when I met you, I had just moved from New York to Los Angeles because the Broadway schedule had worn me out a little bit. So I moved out to Los Angeles, and I can't believe it, but I'm still here.
Yeah, what what is somebody who cut her teeth in New York for such a long time? How does it feel when you say that, yeah, I've been in Los Angeles for 10 years?
It doesn't feel right. Like it doesn't make sense because whenever I go back to New York, I'm like, oh great, yeah, I got my Metro card and this is my life. But I had a child 3 years ago, so anyone who has kids knows that it sort of puts a stop to your ability to conceptualize time. So I don't know. I don't know what year it is. I don't know much, but I know that I have a child.
I have found that once I moved to Los Angeles, I lost, independent of having children, I lost all concept of time.
Yeah.
Because it's always 70 to 10,000 degrees here. And whereas when you were back in New York, you had 4 very distinct seasons.
Oh, and I had the cutest boots, and I had jackets and sweaters, and I would wear tights under my jeans. I recently was going through a drawer, and I was like, I still have all these tights because I would wear them in New York under everything. I was like, I think it's time to throw them away. Plus,
oh my,
they're gross.
I'm no scientist, but do tights get gross? Is that true?
I mean, if you don't wash them, and these tights were old.
But you believed so hard, like they were Velveteen Rabbit tights. You believed so hard that you would wear them again that you brought them to Los Angeles.
One day it'll be 19 degrees and I'll need tights under my jeans. I don't even wear jeans. Someone called it hard pants recently because we've all been in sweatpants since March, and someone's like, I put on a pair of hard pants. And I was like, what are those? They're like jeans. I was like, oh yeah, those are hard pants.
If we take away anything from tonight's show, we're going to call jeans hard pants from now on, from this point on. So Reena Strober, I'm going to say it about you. You're kind of a magical person, and you make people feel happy wherever you go. And that is a singular skill. In the time that, you've existed in Los Angeles, you have brought that magic to young and old alike. And so in addition to teaching the unsighted and casually sighted, you
and short-sighted,
you also met Sid Caesar, the late Sid Caesar, a few years ago, and you had this wonderful year-long relationship with him. And and other comedians that you just kind of associate with New York, but they were all out here. How did that happen?
Yeah, it's funny because I say like I like older men, but no, I like older men. I'm an old Jewish man in my heart. When I lived in New York, I was a member of the Friars Club, and it was like me and Freddie Roman and all these old guys. Because I love old Borscht. I'm from New York, so I'm from the Borscht Belt. So there's just an old Kveller in me, and Kveller is a complainer. So I was doing a show here in LA called When You're in Love, the Whole World is Jewish, of course. I was typecast, and Jason Alexander directed it. And this couple came up to me afterwards who told me that they saw in my bio I was a member of the Friars Club and that they are the caretakers for Sid Caesar. And I had already gone to Factor's Deli because there was this, it was known that every Wednesday, Sid and his writer's room, the ones that were alive, would meet at Factor's Deli in the back room for lunch. So I'd already gone and like hid behind my Sid biography just to meet them. And so I jumped at this opportunity because no one had seen him in a long time, because he was old, 89 when I met him, and in a hospital bed in his room, and his memory really wasn't there anymore. But my friend Lou said, sing to him. And I was like, what? I'm always prepared to sing. So I was like, okay. So I think I sang Someone Who'll Watch Over Me or something. And as soon as I started singing, like, Sid and his eyebrows, like he just perked up and he smiled and he started talking a little more. And to make a long story short, every week I would go and sit by his bed and I would sing to him, and we would share stories, and he would give me advice, and I planned his 90th birthday with his daughter, and for the Passover Seder that year, Theo Bickel and I led the Seder for him and all of his glorious friends. So, and then he passed away a year later. But he came into my life where I wasn't sure what I was doing, and did I want to be a mom? Did I want to be in LA? And he just was a big part of my joy that year. And I hope I brought something to his life. Yeah, it's great.
That is beautiful. And you met Mel Brooks and
Mm-hmm.
Carl Reiner and that whole group of friends.
Yeah. And if anyone does anything to Mel Brooks, I will find you and I will kill you.
And that's important, because we know that you're singing an album full of Sesame Street songs, but Vengeance is
it's the second sweetest quality.
What do you think it is? As a parent myself, and
I'm sorry to hear that.
And I'm only 23, but when I meet my children's little school chums, the ones when I see them respecting my children, or them having a good time together and really digging each other, I feel, it's okay for me to die now, because because they're so kind and they're so nice to each other. And then of course I meet some of their rotten little friends, and I think, no, I need to stay around. What do you think it is about when you're 90 years old and somebody is singing the song from the 40s that you loved?
I mean, it's partly music therapy. I mean, there's a beautiful science behind music capturing memory and giving people the brain function to start remembering things. But also there's a disrespect and an ignorance amongst younger people towards the older generations. I probably was like that maybe in my early 20s, but I've always had a great respect for those who came before me. I think it's also when you're raised in a Jewish New York home, you're reminded of the sacrifices people gave so you could have your freedoms. And I always found people like, ooh, old people, and I'm like, are you kidding? They are so wise, and just stop and listen to them, And so I think the fact that I was there to listen to Sid on a human level, and I happen to know all of George Gershwin's songs, and I know all of Rodgers and Hart and Rodgers and Hammerstein and Little Me that Sid was on Broadway in, so that he was able to see a younger person sing these songs. And I didn't have to learn them. I knew them. I knew all of Showboat. Who doesn't know Showboat?
Exactly. Who does know Showboat?
Who doesn't know Showboat?
What was your first Broadway gig, and setting your toe upon that stage for the first time? What was that like?
It was Les Mis. I had booked the national tour straight out of college, basically. So I went right into the huge national tour, which was the same exact as the Broadway show, but we traveled. So I'd been doing the show for a year and a half when they transferred me to Broadway. So it was weird. When you're on tour, you play these like 2,000 seat theaters with these huge backstages and these big dressing rooms. And when you go to Broadway, it's much smaller, actually.
Really?
And the buildings are very old, and you have to walk up tons of steps. Or no, we walked down to the basement at the Imperial. So there was a part of me that was like, oh, this is much more intimate. Like, I can see the audience. And but it was magical to like do your show and then not walk out into the alley at Buffalo or Des Moines, but walk into the alley of 46th Street and go have a drink at McCabe's or all Joe Allen's, or Sardi's, and be part of a community. And that was what the biggest difference was. I was on the Broadway Softball League and the Broadway Bowling League, and you establish a relationship like none other than I had ever known. And I still feel a part of it, even though I'm so far away. And then I proceeded to do lots of off-Broadway, lots of out-of-town tryouts of Broadway shows that didn't go to Broadway.
Is Hartford still the out-of-town tryout place, or is that old information?
Not as much. I mean, I played Hartford a bunch. I love that theater. It's more DC. DC and Chicago, I think.
there was a person named David Kaufman on the Hoot several times, and he used to be in a lot of Beatles tribute bands. And he said that whatever Beatles tribute band he was in, all the Pauls were micromanaging. all the Ringos were just happy to be there. All the Johns were jerks, and all the Georges were occasionally passive aggressive because they knew how talented they were. But there was something set in stone no matter what. So you, as the ingenue of ingenues, when you met other ingenues, did you immediately get along, or were you immediately
It depends what level. So when you're up on the Broadway level auditioning, you know the other 5 girls that you're up against because you're up against them for all the things. And at that point in your life, in your career, you love each other. You're not wanting their demise. Or I felt maybe it was just when I was coming up, like me and Megan McGuinness. If I wasn't going to get it, I hoped she did. Or I'm trying to think of the other people. But no, we appreciated each other. It was when I was auditioning for like regional stuff that the girls were nasty.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I think the bigger you get, but I don't know, that might have just been my experience, but we always rooted for each other. Ingenues have, sopranos have a reputation, but I found it more in the belters. I found it more in the meanie epaninis. No, just kidding. They were all they were all nice. I didn't have any. I never came across too many assholes.
That makes me really happy. You know, I've never been an ingenue myself, but
you look like one.
Thank you very much. I've had a little work done,
yeah.
Like Kenny Rogers. I just listened to a song, "I Don't Want to Live on the Moon," and in the 2 minutes of that song, big fat tears started rolling down my cheeks. And it was one of those songs that I don't know where I heard it before. I don't remember ever having heard it before, but it was so very familiar. And you have recorded an album of just exquisite songs from the Sesame Street that we of a certain generation, and if we're lucky, our children adored.
You mean this album?
Imagine that.
My daughter was 2, and I woke up on New Year's Day and I was like, what? I need to leave her something. I have no money. I'm an artist. Like, what can I leave her? And I said, I want to leave her music. So I'd already recorded an album years ago in New York, and I was like, it's time, and I want to do something for her, and I want to do something to remind her to be kind. Like you said, like, I don't care what she becomes as long as she's not an actor, but as long as she's kind, just be kind, Izzy, be kind. That's it. And so I was like, oh, and I'd been watching all the classic Sesame Streets with her. And I thought the music of Joe Raposo and Jeff Moss, which is what this album is, really celebrates that idea of kindness and inclusion and beauty and home and love. And I mentioned it to Jason Alexander. I was just like, hey, does this sound like a good idea? Would you want to be a part of it? And he jumped and he was like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, oh shit, there's something there. And then I reached out to my friend Fred Mullen in Nashville, who's like this big fancy producer. And I was like, is this a crazy idea? And he's like, I want to do it. So the more I talked to people, the more people were like, I want to be part of that. So I teach, I used to teach at a blind music school in Los Angeles. I took a maternity leave and now I don't teach at the school, but I still am very active and a big advocate for singers who are blind and performers who are blind. So I decided to invite all of my students who are blind to sing on the album with me. And it just snowballed and it kept getting bigger and bigger. And then thank God, Marty, we had recorded everything in the can by January 1st. So we had everything recorded. So by the time the world shut down, I was already editing and mixing and mastering and designing. So like, I don't know it wouldn't have happened had I pushed it at all. And then it came out in August and the reviews have been like, you'd think my mom wrote them. And I got I've been winning all these awards and these seals, and it's been amazing. And it's because people need this music. It's not because they need me. I'm just a deliverer of music that's like, oh yeah, it's simple. It really is. It's just be nice. Just be nice. Like, and it's music that people know. And then I did find a few rare gems that Joe Raposo wrote, and I included those on the album too. So yeah, and then I got so many great guest stars, French Stewart and ML Woolley and Christina Jones, who's known as the blind soprano, and my friend Deb Grousman, who's Smarty on Sesame Street now. And yeah, it's just I've never been prouder. I'm proud of my child, but I'm really proud of my album.
I Don't Want to Live on the Moon is so I don't know if it's personal or what, but it's so evocative of that feeling where you need to get away, or you're powerfully compelled to get away, but something is just as strong keeping you rooted where you are, because you're needed where you are.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. I had an off-Broadway show in New York for a long time called Spaghetti and Matzo Balls, and it was about how I got wrapped up.
Do you ever do Catholic things, Reena?
No, I don't know.
Or Unitarian Universalist things?
Spaghetti is,
Okay.
But it was the story of how I was raised Jewish, but it was a true story of how I got mixed up in the Italian mafia in New York, and I was part of a mob shooting, and just Google me. It's a long story. But
it's an amazing story.
It's a crazy story.
when we have to build a show around gun malls at some point, and you need to come back. Anyway, go ahead.
Totally. Oh, so I then wrote a show about how I had sort of abandoned my Jewish life because I fell in love with this Italian world, and I was singing for the Italians, and I needed a song to close that show, and I kept looking for big 11 o'clock numbers, and then I heard Ernie sing that song, and I was like, that's it. That says everything I need to say. That I want to go to all these places, but home is like the only place I really want to be forever. And so I've known the song for a long time, and I wasn't going to put it on this album because it's on my other album. The other album is the soundtrack to that show. And so many people, when they found out I was doing an album of Sesame Street music, the first thing they said was, "Are you doing I Don't Want to Live on the Moon?" So I thought, I'm going to do it again. It's going to be from my perspective of now. I'm a parent. I'm changed. And I had just piano and cello. And so I did a very much simpler, much more intimate version of it. But you nailed it on the head. It's where we're needed, but also where we need to be, I think. Anyone who knows me, and Marty, you know me, I don't always do clean shows. Like, that's not my MO. So the fact that I do have a children's album is a little surprising.
We all have very interesting lives that do not take away from our other lives.
Right. So ideally, I don't always trust myself with audiences of children because of my New York mouth. So I don't see myself being like a full children's artist doing like big kid shows. I would rather do a 4 p.m. show on a Sunday at Vitello's where families can come with kids, with parents, have a drink, and then I'd sing Sesame Street, but then also rock out some Chicago or cabaret.
Now, is there what's the optimum Reena Strober combo? Like a guy with a stand-up bass, guy with a baby grand. Who's backing you up?
I love just a baby grand. I'm all about simplicity. It's I think what draws me to Sesame Street. You don't need much. If the music is written well and I do my job as a storyteller and don't masturbate on stage listening to the sound of my voice, like I think then you don't need much. I mean, I would love a cello. I mean, who doesn't want to watch a cellist on stage? And I'd love to employ a cellist. I'd love to employ an upright bassist. I'd love to do other things to an upright bassist, but just kidding. Just kidding. No, but I love piano and voice. I think it's a beautiful combination. Is that the right answer?
I'm just looking for whenever I can take upright bass lessons. But, well, Reena, this has been absolutely wonderful, and we can't wait to see you in person.
Oh, I know. Next year in Jerusalem, but no, just next year live somewhere. Well, I'd like to visit the moon on a rocket ship high in the air. Yes, I'd like to visit the moon, but I don't think I'd like to live there. Though I'd like to look down at the earth from above, soon I'd miss all the places and people I love. So although I might like it for one afternoon, I don't want to live on the moon. I'd like to travel under the sea. I could meet all the fish everywhere. Yes, I'd travel under the sea, but I don't think I'd like to live there. I might stay for a day there if I had my wish, but there's not much to do when your friends are all fish, and an oyster and clam aren't real family. I don't want to live in the sea. I'd like to visit the jungle, hear the lions roar, go back in time and meet a dinosaur. There are so many strange places I'd like to be, but none of them permanently. So if I should visit the moon, I will dance on a moonbeam, and then I will make a wish on a star, and I'll wish I was home once again. Though I'd like to look down at the earth from above, soon I'd miss all the places and people I love. So although I may go, I'll be coming home soon. 'Cause I don't want to live on the moon. No, I don't want to live on the moon. Thank you. Bye.
Hi.
Hey, Lisa Finnie. It's entirely my fault that I think that you've cultivated some air of mystery, and it is entirely because your radio voice is, so smoky and late night jazz DJ. But one of the fun things that I think people would be interested to know about you is that you went to Pasadena High and you went and saw Baby Van Halen when you were in 9th grade.
Yes, they were already playing the Forum, and I think that's a testament to how quickly they became huge in our community and beyond. Playing, I think their first record was 1977. So within 2 years, they were already playing the Forum.
My understanding of Lisa Finnie, the cultural institution, first manifested itself as a fan. I was new to Los Angeles. I was a new dad. I was talking to some people outside my kid's school, and I was talking about how you really couldn't fall in love with any LA radio stations because they'd just break your heart. And this friend, another parent, said, well, you should listen to KCSN. And I listened, and I think it was fortuitous because I listened on a weekend when there's even more eclectic radio shows. And I heard Anne the Raven's Blues. I heard Pat Baker. I heard Cat Griffin. And I heard the Dylan Hours and Masters of Song several years ago when Masters of Song was also on. And it was hosted by this person named Lisa Finnie, who had just such a wonderful radio voice and hey, things are going to be okay. I'm going to tell you some things now. Maybe you didn't know. Maybe you didn't read these liner notes, but I read them for you. And here's who's on that record. And here are these background singers. And it was and is a great LA radio experience that, people can tune into anywhere in the world. My question is, how are you as a performer influenced by your scholarship of Bob Dylan?
Wow. That's a really good question, Marty.
Why, thank you.
I wasn't ready for that one. I have many answers to that question. It's not that I have no answers. What first occurs to me is to say that, he was the first kind of cynical artist that I took into my heart. You know what I mean? You bring an artist like that into your heart, and you also bring in maybe all of their neuroses. So, if he has trouble with a certain type of thing, or, he's kind of the guide. And you read interviews with him and he'll say things like, no one should cover, my songs weren't written to be covered, or, we have enough songs in the world. We don't need any more songs. And I wrote this song, but each line could have been its own song. The bar is set so high. What's important is to be able to celebrate and recognize and cherish and revere, and at the same time say, well, fuck off. I'm still going to write a song. I'm still going to try to say something, and I'm going to kind of plug my ears to your, view on it, and allow myself, a chance to do that. I think there were many, many years where voices of the heroes kept me from feeling like I had any right whatsoever to utter anything at all. And I'm not blaming any one particular hero, be they famous or not. It could be somebody from my own life who I revered it's so easy to be intimidated, to be kind of told, oh, well, these are the real artists and you're just, you're pretending, or you think you want to do that. You'll write stuff and you'll question yourself, and this sucks, and it's not that, it's not this, and they said it should go this way, and then you throw it in the trash. I did that for so long, and then I finally, I'm sure, I can't say one person in particular. It's a combination of friends who said, that's really cool that you're saying something, and that sounds nice, and why not try that? You know what I mean? Just kind of taking the pressure off a little bit. You're allowed to write a nice song and sing a nice melody and go night. It's great that we have Bob Dylan, and I'm so thankful that we have Bob Dylan, and I can't even imagine wanting to sing or play music if I didn't love Bob Dylan. But at the same time, I'm gonna write songs and that he would probably hate, and I can't worry about that.
I remember a time, and it's becoming, a dimmer and dimmer memory of, live performance. I'm glad that you weren't so intimidated by Bob Dylan and your other heroes that you just, threw your Zodi's guitar into the Arroyo, and I'm glad that you stepped up in front of an open mic, and I'm glad that you played, because there's something about the songs that I'm thinking of that you do that are so mournful. And the song that you're about to play, which you wrote during the pandemic, has a kind of a playful, at the same time, very spooky mournfulness about it, that when I first heard it, I thought the narrator was somebody different. And I thought the story was something different, which is a wonderful aspect of all the songs I love, because I'm thinking in particular of Tangled Up in Blue. First time I heard that song, every narrator was different than when I listen to that song now. And so when you played the song that we'll all be hearing in a little while, I thought the perspective was from somebody totally different. Can you talk a little bit about who the narrator is before we hear the song?
I'm the narrator. I'm speaking to my 3-year-old daughter, and it's in real time. These are things that I have said to her, or, sort of poetic rephrasings of things that I've said to her as we navigate these crazy times of quarantine, living within 4 walls, having only a little bit of freedom in the yard. And that kind of parent narrator. And the other thing I would say about that, again, is that there's this push-pull of my kind of protective paranoia and her feelings of absolutely no fear, and just wanting to go out into the world and enjoy herself. And me trying to kind of mitigate those impulses, those two different seemingly opposing impulses.
Well, it is a really sweet song, and I want to point out, pull the curtain back a little bit. We are speaking at like 11:30 at night, and because your daughter's asleep, because that's she went to sleep.
It took us a few hours to find this little pocket of time where she was indeed asleep and wouldn't be, interrupting our chit chat. Thank you, Marty.
Absolutely.
For your patience.
It was not patience at all, but a great joy. And so to close us off tonight, Lisa Finnie.
Hold your breath, there's something in the air. It's too small to see, but it's there. And it's too big to wave away or spray with the hose. Hold your breath, there's something in the air. Come inside so I can close the door. We don't need to leave anymore. Soon the masked man will appear with popsicles and peas. Come inside so I can close the door. Something's in the air, my love. Something's on the wind. There's something in the air. See the birdland on our windowsill. Will she sing to us? Yes, she will. And will we join her in her song from our wood and stucco cage? See the bird land on our windowsill. Something's in the air, my love. Something's on the wind. There's something in the air. Something's in the air, my love. Something on the wind. There's something in the air. Something in the air.
I don't know. I'm sorry. Should never open up those doors when you don't know that.
Holy cow. I wouldn't want to be on Arrakis right now. Oh, hey everybody. Did you enjoy the show? I don't even need to ask that. I know you did. There's something about this show, you're probably saying to yourself, that I don't get from any other kind of mass media entertainment. I learned something. I felt a stirring that I haven't felt in 8 months about these 5 people. I want to get to know them better. Well, Bunky, here's your chance. You can go to JustinCurtisMusic.com. You can go visit Jim Melloan at RadioFreeBrooklyn.com, org, TV, or whatnot. You can go to space, or at least SmokeyMiles.com, and see what Count Smokula and his mortal counterpart Bob Smokey Miles is doing. But really, can the internet truly contain the feeling that is Count Smokula? Or, you know, you can say that you're buying it for your children or your grandchildren or your neighbor's rotten children. But really, you'd be buying for yourself Reena Strober's wonderful Imagine That, the music of Sesame Street. And finally, if you're feeling a little bit weepy and lachrymose, which is another word for weepy, and I shouldn't have even said it, about the Verdugo HUUT ending for this episode, and you think, how can I possibly ever be entertained again? Well, you can ask your smart speaker to dial up 88.5 FM KCSN on Sunday mornings at 9 o'clock terrestrially, and listen to Lisa Finnie's wonderful The Dylan Hours. Now, don't do what I have done and underpronounce the terminal N of KCSN so that your stupid machine thinks it's KCSM, because that is a jazz station, and nobody likes jazz. Next month, November of 2020, we suspend just a little bit our long tradition of a monthly Verdugo HUUT show because it's my birthday, and because really these digital productions are a lot more work than the live ones, and I'm going to just take November off because, well, you know, if you want to give me or yourself a birthday present, get my book, Limericks of Loss and Regret. It will change your life. It's like the Bible without the scary ending. You know what I mean? But on December 12th of 2020, our last show of Plague Year Zero, we will be coming back with a fantastic show of original holiday songs. Everybody likes versions of Oh Holy Night, or Come On, There's Something in the Hay, or The Lonely Candle, or whatever holiday songs. But think about brand new holiday songs that reflect the time we live in rather than 19th century England or, 3rd century Mecca. All those 3rd century Mecca holiday songs are wonderful, but do they really speak to the people we are now? So come back on December 12th for that show. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again.
Hey lady, where did your cormorant get that magical amulet? The power's quite driven him mad. It came in the mail. Oh, one break coming up.